and it's a service that is not specific to one particular availability zone. It's a region-wise service, and you pay only for the number of amount of data that ELB processes rather than the size of the unit. Okay, so in that way it's pretty cost effective as well. So I think we touched upon elastic block storage. So one important aspect that I want to mention in EBS is also that the volume size can be anywhere from 1 gig to 1 terabyte in size, right? And there are 3 different types of elastic block storage available. Some which are general purpose, which is built on SSD. We recently introduced this, which is the default instance or EBS volume that you can check. And we also have an option called provisioned IOPS. That means you can request an EBS volume based on your IOPS. You can say that I want 1000 IOPS, a volume with 3000 IOPS, right? So we basically work backwards and then provision you the storage to meet that IO requirement, and then create all the necessary RAID and everything else at the back end to give you that IOPS. So the SLA is on IOPS. So coming back to S3, S3 is a very key service for us. Basically, S3 is an object store. Also provides a very high durability for any objects that is stored on S3. Pretty much 11 lines of durability. So, and it is unlimited storage. So you can store anything on it and any amount. There is no limit to it. There is a limit to per object size, which is up to 5 terabytes in size. Otherwise, you can scale to petabytes of data on it. And S3 is something that is a RESTful service. So you basically access it with a regular core HTTP. So you do a regular put get for your objects, and it is not a file system, right? So please do not get confused. S3 with EBS. EBS is a storage that is available for your operating system at a file system level, whereas S3 is an object store that is open and they're addressable through internet using a fully qualified URL, right? So that's the basic difference with respect to S3. And S3 is the scalable, secure architecture. At this point of time, S3 on an average, meets almost 1.5 million requests per second, kind of a scale. So and it continues to grow, and then stores trillions of objects as of now. So Glacier is another storage, which is a low-cost storage for archival requirements for our customers. So you could, but it also provides the same durability as S3 provides, and it is REST-based as S3 is. But the basic difference between Glacier and S3 is S3 is on demand, so you put an object, you can request anytime you want. With Glacier, when you put the data into Glacier, and if you request to get that object, we would have to put in a request earlier, and we would take about 3 to 5 hours to get that object back to you, because it is not. It is meant for archival, wherein your enterprises or you want to retain for your requirement for let's say 5 years, 7 years, things like that. You could use Glacier for that requirement. So databases, we have a managed database service called RDS, right? So we provide 4 different database engines: Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, and Postgre. So what is relational database service, and then how does it help? Basically, what we try to do is provide you a database by removing all the heavy lifting operations that in a regular that is involved in a regular database. When you deploy it on an EC2 server, let's say. Right? So what are those services, right? In terms of your activity of installing a database, managing an operating system, managing a backup, patches, or replication, right? So all of these basically take a lot of time from a database administrator, so which are takes away a lot of focus from application or tuning your workload. So a managed database offering of RDS gives you a very good option so that where the operating system is not exposed, only the database endpoint is exposed to you, and then you continue to just use it by defining your provisioned IOPS and your requirements with respect to the size of the data. So it's very easy to get started on RDS, and it's a low cost in the long run when you use it for most of your workloads. CloudFront is one of our application services. So if you want to, let's say you want to cache some of your applications locally or very closer to your users, then CloudFront is that service that you can use. It's a content delivery network service. You can also use it to do your video streaming. So if you have workloads looking at streaming data on demand or live streaming, you can use it. And CloudFront can use S3 or ELB or EC2 as an origin for its data to be cached, right? So you can also terminate your SSL, your HTTPS to CloudFront, and you can also use CloudFront in isolation, as a distribution point for your data hosts on premises also. So it's not necessary that your origin has to be an S3 or ELB or EC2. You can still use it if you have your custom origin within your data center, right? So basically the access mechanism is very easy. So what you do basically is your application for those objects that you want to be served through CloudFront, you would basically point your application to the CloudFront URL as compared to your origin object directory, right? So that's the way you would configure. So among the application services, there is also a host of other things. So one that I want to copy here is the Elastic MapReduce, which is nothing but Hadoop on the cloud, right? So nowadays we see a lot of big data related opportunities and even use cases. That on a daily basis we is part of this, and then EMR for short is that service that you can use to launch Hadoop clusters in a matter of minutes, and then carry out your analytics and MapReduce or whatever your requirement is from the big data plan, and shut down when you don't want it. So launching Hadoop clusters has never been easier, and it works very well with our S3. So S3 acts as your storage for your big data or your source data, and and it works seamlessly with EMR, right? So look at this your single point in terms of any kind of Hadoop requirement. So there are various distributions available also, like if you want a MapR distribution or any of the other ecosystem software like a Hive or HBase, various of those combinations could be selected while you launch it, and then use it for your requirement. So apart from that, there is also Elastic Beanstalk. This is our service for you to for development work, where you could just push in your code for the containers for Java, .NET, and PHP, and you push your containers code into Elastic Beanstalk and automatically provisions the backend servers, databases, and for you, so that the development is quick and then it's easy. So you need not have to know about the infrastructure details of creating EC2, VPCs, and things like that. So all your developer would need to do is to push their code into the Elastic Beanstalk, and then we take care of the rest. And then when he's done with his work, he just delete that environment very quickly. Right? It's as easy as that. Now, CloudFormation is another service where you could deploy your infrastructure on AWS as a code. So basically, you create a template of code and define your AWS resources, your rules, and identify your outputs in a template in code, and whenever you want that particular environment to be built, you just push the template into CloudFormation, and you can build an entire environment in a matter of minutes. So very easy for you to maintain, in a way, version controlling for new, when you want to create start new for your testing requirements, or you're building it new for replicating a particular environment, things like that. So, or creating a view of your current environment, whatever it is. So managing that through CloudFormation is very easy. And the lastly, but deployment and administration is a very important aspect as well. We have service called identity and access management. Very important because identity and access management enables you to give access to your AWS users based on their roles, right? So you wouldn't want every user to have the same set of control over what they can launch, what they can use, what they can see on Amazon also. So what you would do is you would create IAM users and then define policies to each user, by saying that let's say granular, right? And you would just want, let's say, your database administrators use the RDS server, but not really use, let's say, IS3 or some of the other EC2 servers. So you can define that. Or your network engineer to have only access to defining VPC and then everything else associated with it. So you can go to that level of granularity and then give access to your user, and you can also create username and password for them to log in through a console using IAM. Or once you want to federate, right? Let's say you have your own users or using your Active Directory, and you don't want to create individual users for IAM. You can build a federated environment to IAM to AWS using your Active Directory and IAM. So you can do that. And we have a host of software development kits available for all the popular development frameworks and languages, so that you can use and then make those API calls within your code for all our services. Right? So those are available. So building a web application is fast, and you can iterate very quickly, and you don't have to rely on your IT team probably for every kind of request and to AWS. So there are a host of other services, like I said, there are 40 plus. So there are simple email service, simple notification service, CloudWatch, we talked a little bit about it, and your ability to connect to your AWS from your on-premise using what we call a storage gateway. So there are various of those services that we'll not go into it today. And please do have a look at it if some of those interest you guys as well. So I think I just wanted to touch base upon VPC with one diagram that I wanted to show you in terms of how it would look like. Between, let's say you're looking at connecting from your data center to AWS, there are certain terminologies probably you would have to be aware of. In this scenario, you're looking at your corporate data center and AWS region on the right. So you'll have availability zone. So you create a VPC. VPC spans across multiple availability zones, and then you have your own router on your data center, which we refer to it as customer gateway. And you make a VPN connectivity from your router to our service called as VPN gateway, so which is on Amazon side. And then you create private subnets, public subnets, you launch your VPC servers within that, and if your branch office also wants connectivity to that, you can terminate them on a hub and spoke model, and you can also enable connectivity using a private link instead of internet, using a direct connect option that is available as well. So there is a point-to-point link connectivity you can establish to a maximum of 10 gigabit of bandwidth as well. So very enterprise kind of an architecture that you can build on top of it. So I wanted to just show that. And security, as I mentioned earlier, is number one priority to survey a host of certifications that you have. So having so that's on at a very high level and introduction to all of this basic foundation services. So I hope you guys have got a very fair idea in terms of what it is. So at this point of time, I would like to quickly go through set of diagrams in terms of how you could probably go and then start building a very high available web application on Amazon. Right? So let's look at very quickly. Right? So what you do is, let's say you identify a web server. So you go to EC2 and then you launch a web server of some capacity. And then now you would want a database server. So you pick up an RDS server and then you launch, let's say, a MySQL RDS server. And then you define the type of instance, the storage type, capacity, and you launch a database server. And you want that web server to be available through the internet. So through an IP address, right? Defined static IP address. So what you do is you attach an elastic IP address that Amazon provides to you. Now once the elastic IP is available, now you want that elastic IP to be mapped to your website name. So let's say your domain is mywebsite.com. So what you would do is you would go to you have to make a DNS entry, right? So that whenever somebody types mywebsite.com, there is a mapping to that IP address and eventually it will route to that web server. So you would you pick up Route 63, which is our DNS service, and within that Route 63 you would go and then create a EA record for your mywebsite.com and map it to the elastic IP address that you would have attached to that EC2 server, that is the web server, right? So you would go and create a EA record and any request then will be routed back to you. Now web server also has got its own EBS volume, so you would want some more volume, EBS volume, because you want to save some application related critical data on it. So you go request an EBS volume and attach it to the EC2 server. And as you scale, so this is the previous line is good because this is a single line architecture, right? So you have the domain name, you have a server, and then you're good to go. But how do you address scalability, right? So how much how many servers can you add, and then how do you make sure? So what you do is you put up a load balancer in front of it. So when I put in a load balancer in front of it, and then I launch many more servers at the back end, in terms of here you can see 3 web servers. So the way the DNS would work would be different, because the moment I launch an elastic load balancer in front of the web server, so your DNS needs to point to the ELB name that you would create. So in this scenario, when you launch an ELB, we will give you a fully qualified domain name for the ELB node. So you would, instead of the elastic IP address the uniquely mapped, you will pick up that ELB name and then you create a alias or a CNAME for that mywebsite.com on Route 53. So you would remove that old A mapping record, but instead map to the elastic load balancer name and mywebsite.com. So that's the change that you would make. So once you do that, ELB will detect the web server. So you would attach these 3 web servers back to ELB. So ELB does a health check and then basically it routes the traffic to a web server based upon the health of the web server. So if it sees that the response times back from the web server to ELB is quite good, then it will keep forwarding those requests back to the server. And it does, or it can also do that on a round robin basis also. So you can define, there are a few things that you can control on the ELB in terms of how it behaves. And but by default, the way it routes is based upon the health check, right? And when it detects that when something server is not healthy, it will not forward it to this, right? So that's what health check does. So in case if it senses that one of the server is not responding well, it takes out from its list of those backend servers, and then it forwards only to the ones that are active or healthy. So having addressed the web tier, when you have achieved load balancing, you also achieve high availability with the web tier, but still in the previous scenario, the database server was a single. So in case the DB goes down, you are left with no option, your website basically goes down. So what you would do is you can also launch a RDS server in a multi-AZ architecture. So what happens when you do a multi-AZ architecture? So we launch another server in another availability zone, and we enable a synchronous replication between the two. In case at the master phase, we seamlessly transfer all the requests from web server back to the slave server in another availability zone, right? So this failover is seamless. There is no change needed on the web tier or on the web app tier or from the user perspective. So at the users hardly notice any break at this point of time when the switch happens, and your data is not lost because there has been synchronous replication that's been happening. So your RPO, the DR terminology is zero.
So speaking of
Sorry, there's some disturbance. So with this scenario, if you have achieved high availability at the database layer also. Now let's take a scenario, what if the availability zone entirely fails, the AZA, right? There is an availability zone A that is failed. So what you could what you can do is, you can launch that those web servers also in another availability zone, and then make sure that the elastic load balancer is able to load balance the traffic across availability zones. So there is no performance hit when you do this, because the latency between availability zones is in single digit milliseconds, so it's hardly noticeable, and you achieve high availability at a data center level as well. But please note that the database is still a master slave architecture, so there is no load balancing as is happening with the DB. So scaling, we referred about how do we address scaling in this architecture. So auto scaling is that component that you can use for you. Depending upon the health check of your servers, right? Auto scaling will add, based on the policy that you have set up, more number of servers whenever it sees that this scenario, the seat utilization is high, because the number of requests coming from the ELB to the server is quite high. So before it goes out of control and then your website is gets slower or it starts timing out, you would, based on the policy that you have defined, you would launch a new EC2 instances and then scale horizontally and then keep adding them into that layer of the app. Okay. So the ELB will detect that new instances have been added, and it will start routing traffic to the new instances added. So when it sees that, okay, now the traffic has receded and there's no need for the extra server that you added, then a very in a very seamless way, it will take out the new servers and then make sure that you are back to your minimum size of or number of servers that you had defined in your scaling policy. So very useful. And your auto scaling can also be used not just for scaling purposes, but also for high availability as well. So in case there is one of the codes that goes down for whatever reason, then auto scaling detects that, oh, minimum I have to have 4 servers, and then it will automatically launch another server with the same configuration and gets it running. So very easy. Uh, Having said that, I'm sure you guys know about it, but there are a lot of internet businesses that use Amazon Web Services. There are hundreds and thousands of them. This is a very few list of few top internet businesses that are using Amazon Web Services. We also have a lot of enterprises that are using it. The likes of the Shell or the Samsung to Hitachi to some of the banks out there, right? Or for the matter, Amazon.com itself is a customer for Amazon services. So, things like this. So, very enterprises of the world are looking to deploy business critical, mission critical applications, including their ERPs of the companies on Amazon. So from your perspective, your goal, in summary is, application should continue to function. So that you can start focusing on your business rather than running the data center, right? So you get more time, you save more money to invest in your business, and the IT infra should be an enabler for your business rather than a hurdle or a bottleneck, right? So that is what we try to solve, and previously whatever was a constrained resource in terms of data centers, in terms of hardware and things like that is now a programmable resource. So you can join, you can launch them whenever you want and then shut it down when you don't want it. Having said that, make sure that it is a pay-as-you-go model, right? So you are paying when you are using it. So when you are not using it, make sure you have to remember to shut it down or delete it, or don't keep it there, because your billing will be taken, right? So eventually at the end of the month you will get a bill on your credit card saying that so many hours, so many instances, so much of data, so much of network traffic and things like that. So please be aware and then set some alerts, set some mechanisms for you to monitor what you have launched, and make sure that you terminate it, and then you use the cloud for the benefit that it offers. Into for more details. So there is an architecture center, there are technical articles, there are blogs, and there are podcasts available. There are a lot of webinars that we keep doing, like this one that we do, and there is a YouTube channel that is available on Amazon Web Services. There are thousands of videos that we download from AWS, and you will see our SMEs and principal architects delivering those. That is the best way I would say. If you want to know something, just go to YouTube and then within 30 minutes you probably will learn more than what you did. And these are the point of contacts within India for you to reach out to for any questions or workload or opportunities that you have questions on, and please reach out to them, and we can also enable, they can enable you to have one-on-one discussions with the technical team, and take it from there. So they will be your single point of contact in the respective region, in case you need help from Amazon, right? So thank you very much, for joining this session. I'll take just a couple of minutes break, and then just start with a small demo for we log into the control, and then I'll show you exactly how to launch the service, and then the basic things that you would use. Meanwhile, I think you would have posted all your questions. I will have a look at that. And if you want to just get started, you can look at our free tier that would just get you started and you get your hands dirty with the AWS services. And any questions, please continue to post in. Meanwhile, I'll just get back to you on it. Give me a couple of minutes. Thank you. hope you guys can hear me. So here we are, just doing very quick walkthrough of our console. So just basically what you do is you go to aws.amazon.com and so that I'll just go to that web page. So this will be the landing point for all your AWS requirements. So on the right top corner you see AWS Management Console. So you click on that and it will take you to our console. So here I'll give my username and password. So when you open your account you will create this and then so I'll give my email ID and then I'm logging in. So signing up is a very easy process. Within 5-10 minutes you basically will be able to get started. So I think Kanya would have already mentioned that you basically need a credit card to open an account. Without that you will not be able to start using it. So that is a minimum requirement. There will be a $1 transaction cost to check the validity and the operationality of your credit card. Beyond that, there will be no charges unless you start using it, and then you will be charged at the end of the month only for what you have used, right? So as simple as that. So you can use your own, but a credit card is a must, right? So there is no other way as of now, right? So this is the login page, landing page for you, the dashboard where you can see the various services are packaged into compute, networking, analytics, databases, applications, and things like that, right? So let's look at the first one. So here I go and then click on EC2, the first one under compute and networking. So that will take me to the EC2 page. So as I log into EC2, you can see the first thing that you would have to be while looking at is which region am I launching these servers. So on the top right corner, you can see that this is currently for me I've selected Singapore here. So you click on that, you can see all the other 7 regions also. So you can launch as an account user. You can just start using it, launching servers on any region. So I'll just return to Singapore, right? So no changes there. So make sure that you look at this. And on the left hand side, there are various things. You can see the instances, you can see images are running. There is the EBS part of it on the left side, where you can create your volumes and attach to it. And how you connect or provision access to your EC2, you can see that under network and security, right? And there is a small auto scaling configuration also can be done on the down, right? So let's just launch an instance right now. I'll try to launch a Linux instance site. So let's click on launch instance. So in this wizard, you can see that there is a host of Amazon machine images that are available, right? So this is a quick start wherein you can see you can select from any of these. So there is Amazon Linux, which is our own version of Linux that is available. So this is available free of cost. We don't charge anything for Amazon Linux. But if you select some of other Linux flavors or Windows, there will be a software or operating system cost is already built into the cost that we provide you on an hourly basis. So that will vary based on the OS that you select, right? So you can see that there is Red Hat, there is Ubuntu, Windows Server 2012 with SQL inbuilt, with SQL Express or SQL Server Standard, and you can also look at 2008 of those available. So various, and there are some 32-bit options also down here, right? So that are available. So in this scenario, let's say I'm just going and then I'll select Amazon Linux 64-bit version, right? So let's select one, and that will take me to the
page where I will be asked to select the size of the virtual machine that I want to launch, right? So at the top you can see that it is currently showing me only the current generation instance type, right? So if you want the older generation, you will have to go and then select on all generations. Okay. Otherwise, you will not be able to see the M1 types and C1 or some of those older generation. That will not be seen. So let me go here and then let's say I want a 2 vCPU or a 4 vCPU. Yeah, let me check the general purpose one, M3 large, right? Which gives me 2 vCPU, almost 8 gig of memory, and there is local hard disk, which we refer to as ephemeral disk, with 32 gig of SSD backed hard disk, and it is got a moderate network performance for me to connect to other instances within AWS, right? So this is good for me, let's say, to start with for my web server application, right? So I'll select that. You can see that there is a host of other things that is available and the configurations and the specification of each one of those. So you can select which one that you want, right? So select that and then I'll say next configure the details. So how many servers I want to launch? In this scenario, I'm just typing it as 1. And then here is where that if you wanted the server to be available or launched in spot instance type that I mentioned, you can click here and then say I want to request spot instance type. Right? Like I mentioned, request spot instances, it will go away if someone out with it. So in this scenario, I want it to be running, so I will not select that. So I will launch that into, let's say, a EC2 classic. Okay, so like I mentioned, you can also create a VPC and then launch it into VPC. So in this scenario, I have the classic one available because I want to connect it directly to the internet in the old way. So I'll select EC2 classic, right? And availability zone. I can decide which data center or availability zone I want to launch it, right? If I don't select anything, then AWS makes the decision to launch it into any one of these. Or otherwise, if you want, I can select it. Let's say I select 1A. And IAM role is another scenario where you can give a role to a server, EC2 server getting launched by defining the policies that you can assume when it launches. And you can make sure then that all the applications that get deployed on that VM basically assumes that no authorization and access to the resources defined within that policy. So we will not use anything there. And shutdown behavior, some of these default things with respect to a shutdown behavior, we just keep them as default. And I will just go ahead and say next as storage. Now what you see here is basically the root root volume storage, right? So that will be seen here with 8 gig of size. And this is getting built on general purpose, right? Now let's say I wanted to add one more volume, wherein I want to store some more application data. So this is the EBS volume. So I go say add new volume. The type is EBS, right? You can see here EBS volume. And I will, let's say this is a snapshot name it will give. So I don't have to worry about it right now. I'm not creating new EBS volume, so I'll leave it there. And the new instance size, let's say I want a 50 gig volume, okay, and that also is something that I want on general purpose. If you want, let's say, a provisioned IOPS here, then I can select provisioned IOPS, then I'll have to define the number of IOPS that I need, right? So I would, in this scenario, for me, a general purpose SSD is good enough because that itself, on burstable can give me up to 3000 IOPS. So this is good enough for a web kind of web load, on AWS. So SSD back 150, that is good for me. And here, what is the behavior of EBS? You want to retain the EBS? So this is where you come and select saying that if I delete the server, yours would be deleted, right? Now in this scenario, I want to retain this EBS volume because at every later point of time I want the data to be persisted, so I will not select this flag. So I will uncheck this, and there is also an option for security here wherein I can say that you encrypt it. So EBS encryption is something that is this some time back, where we do server-side encryption, and then AWS maintains the keys for it and rotates them. From security perspective, a lot of enterprises have requested for this option, so which is now available for you. You can use it, or you can choose not to use it as well. So I don't want it. I'm fine with that. So I'll say go ahead, and then I want to give some names to it. So tagging of instances is very important. Tagging is like how do you identify your server. So it is a key value pair kind of a scenario. So I can give name and then give you a value as demo info, right? So like if I want to create another tag for it, I can add here. Let's say I will give another name called as environment, and then I will say this is, let's say, QA. So like that, you can create different tags and then associate those tags, and later on point of time you can derive IAM policy based on tag, and then give access to your developers and testers only to those instances that are tagged as, let's say, environment as QA or project as something else, project name or cost center or things like that. Right? Very, very, very useful. It's very powerful in terms of managing it. Next, I will create a security group. So, like I said, security group basically enables you, or through which you define access to your instance, right? So, in this scenario, I'm going to create a new existing group, or I can create from an new group or from an existing group. So, I'll give a new name for this, demo SG, demo security group, right? This is demo for webinar as a description. And in this case, I'm saying that SSH is the type of protocol that I'm allowing, right? SSH is a TCP protocol, the port is 22, and access is, let's say, anywhere. So anywhere from the internet, we will be able to do an SSH to it, but you will need to provide some credentials before you connect, right? So, or I can also define a custom IP here, or my IP. If I select my IP, we automatically detect the IP address to which my laptop is coming, and then it fills it by default. So only my laptop now can connect to that instance, right? So in this scenario, I'm connecting from my Amazon office. So this is probably my proxy IP address that it is showing, right? So I will probably just go with anywhere for now. Whereas I can also let's say add a rule here for, let's say I want to ping it and then that. So I can do a ICMP rule here, right? Or let's say all ICMP, and then I'll say you anywhere from internet, right? Or you want to add another rule which will say that I want to do HTTP. So HTTP port 80 anywhere. So this comes in. So like that you can keep on adding. So the security group name demo SG will have these particular rules created, and then you are able to connect it only through these ports, right, or through these protocols. Now I'm done with most of my specifications, so I'm going and then reviewing my specifications. So here is my AMI, here is my Linux, here is the 64-bit, this is the capacity of my server, this is the security group, the other instance details are this, that is launching ETC graphics, this is the storage that I have created. I have added one more volume of 50 gigs, and then I have also created some tags to it, twice. So I'm pretty good with all these scenarios. Now I'll say go and then launch. But before I launch, like I said, I need to provide a key pair. Like I said, because without the key pair, it will not be able to authenticate and then launch that instance, right? You will not be able to connect to it when you launch it. So what I would do is I will have to create a new key pair in this scenario, because just to walk you through a new creation process, I will say create a new pair. I will say, let's say this is a demo sign is the name that I'm giving, and then I will say download a key pair. So when I do this, the public half of the key pair is there on Amazon, whereas the private half will get downloaded onto my desktop. So I'll do a download key pair, click on this. So you can see that it is asking me to save this pen file on my desktop.
right? So I go ahead and then I am saving this into my download directly on my desktop. So I'm done with this. Now I will say launch the instance. So when it is this, so it is getting launched on in Singapore region in availability zone 1A, Southeast 1A. So I could go and then click on the ID. So AWS gives you an identifier for that instance, which is automatic. So you will identify it by name I-D something, right? So that's the ID. So this identifier, instance ID, is unique within that region, right? So be careful of that, and then that these are all unique things within that region. Then you can see that it is saying the instance state is now running, but there is another thing called status check initialize. So what are these status checks? So important for you to wait till the time the status checks come through. You can see here that there are two types of instance checks here, right? System status check and an instance status check. What a system basically means is this is the check that happens at the hardware level with respect to its connectivity, its power, and all the other things. Whereas an instance data check looks at whether the operating system has come up properly, whether the user is fine, whether the network connectivity or interfaces are up and running, right? So these are all the various other checks that happens there. So wait till these two checks also says this is done and then it's fine, and then we can initiate connection to this server, right? So it will take a couple of minutes before this comes up. And another important point for you to look at while we do this is, it has also given you a public DNS name of the server, right? So this is a unique URL or the name of the server that you can connect from internet, and that is what we will use. You can also see that we have already given it a public IP address, right? 54.179.1721 in Singapore that is available, and elastic IP here is there's nothing that is given to us, right? So this is automatically given by Amazon, right? And there is also an internal IP address. You can look here, private IP as well. So if you launch another server and then you want to connect to this server using the internal IP, you can use this also, right? So these are all various important parameters that you need to be aware of, and you can look at the security groups also that we created is here. If you click on view rules, it will show you all the ports that we have enabled to be connected to this instance, and various other details that are useful in terms of getting information about the EC2, and also while troubleshooting, these are very important, right? So one aspect of it. What I will also do parallelly is so the status check is passed here, 2 of 2. So this is all set to be connected. Before that, I also want to add let's say, as per the other demo that we looked at, I want to add an elastic IP address. Okay. So I'll click on the left hand side under network and security. There is something called elastic IP. So there is one IP address that I had asked to be given for something for GPU. What I will go ahead and then do is I will say request for a new IP address. I say allocate a new IP address, and it will ask me whether I want to use it in class EC2 or within a VPC. Because I launched the server in class EC2, I will say I want to use it in EC2 and then say yes, allocate. So instantly I will get an IP address. Okay, so the one that I say is now got is 175. Now I want this IP address, static IP address, to be associated with the server that I just launched. So I say click on associate address at the top, and it will ask me which instance I need to connect. If I click on that, it will give me a server name. It will give me the list of it. So this is the only one running right now. So I select that, and then I say associate. So it will attach this IP address
to that server, to the primary interface Ethernet 0 that has been defined on that virtual machine. Now this is done. I'll go back to my instance itself that has got launched, and then I will click on that, and I will go under the tab, and then you can see here that the public IP and the elastic IP now both have been changed, right, to the elastic IP address that we just defined. So what we will do is, you can now connect to this server either by using the public IP address that is being given here, or the public DNS name that is being given here. In a scenario like what we mentioned right earlier, say I want to connect it to a DNS server, you could probably go to our services, right, and then make an entry in Route 53 there, right. So for now, I will do is I'll show you that way once, but let's connect to this IP address from our terminal. Okay. So I'll copy this IP address and I will open my terminal. I think I need to share my desktop. Okay. So I'll go and then I'll do that. I'll open my terminal. So I'll also go to my downloads directly from where I downloaded my demo scene, right? Is there? Yeah. So there is my private part, private hotkey, right? So from here I will initiate now an SSH session, right? So before that, you need to make sure that your PEM file has got a read only to the user. So I will change the permission on that because it will have by default downloaded with everything. So I'll say change mode to this, and then I will do a SSH minus I will say demoscene.pen. I will point to this particular key file, and then I will have to log in as a user on that institution. So by default, the username is the root username or a root level username is called EC2-user, and this is the name and EC2 user at the IP address of that server, right? So this is where I'm going to connect it now. So I provided my key, I provided the username, and I also provided the host IP address, and I've opened up the security port SSH when I created the launch the instance. So the source is anywhere, so anybody from outside using this could be contacted, and then I say go connected. So it says yes, identified. You sure you want to connect to it? I say yes, of course I want to connect to it. Do this. Yes. Go. So I am in. So this is the prompt EC2-user, and it gives me the private IP address that you see down here also, same thing, right? 10.172.136.4, that is the same IP address that you are seeing on the prompt as well. So you are in right now. So whenever you are in, you are pretty much can do whatever that you want as you want. There are certain, let's say some root level commands that you want to issue. If it says access denied and then you read root level permission, all you need to do is to issue a sudo and then the command. So it will assume a root role, and then you will be able to execute that command. Okay. So that's it. So this is the M3 extra large or a large instance that we launched, and then you are connected to it. You can pretty much go and do whatever you want on this. With Amazon Linux, you will also have a AWS CLI tool that will be installed on it. So if you want to interact with other services or you want to do any other API commands line through this, you can pretty much go and then do AWS, and then if I click question mark, it will give you all those services that you supported and then start using it, right? So that's on the EC2 part of it. Yeah. So now you know what are the things that we did now, right? So in this scenario, on top of this, let's say I want to go and then make that change on that DNS server. Let's say because you installed an LAMPS lab stack on this. You can download your lab stack to that terminal itself, and then start installing it, or you do install and whatever, and then you go want to access it through your own domain. So you can go to Route 53 here, right? On Route 53 is a global service, so you don't select a region or an availability zone. So all our Route 53 services are also deployed or available through our POPs or edge locations that we have. So what you would do here is go to here, and then you create basically a hosted zone. Okay, so you need to go click on hosted zones. So in this scenario, you would want to, I've created this dummy here called, from iamvasu.com. Let's say in this scenario, I'll create, let's say, another hosted zone here called my demo thing, right? Singapore one, right? .com, right? So this is my domain name. Okay, I'll say create. Now, this particular domain name, let's say if this is an existing domain name somewhere else, what you need to make sure to move it to Route 53 is you need to go and then provide the name servers that you see here, delegation set that you see down here. These are the name servers that you need to go and then point it in your current registrar, wherever that you have hosted. Okay. Then let's say if it is GoDaddy or something else, you need to put these name servers in that DNS registrar. Then every other request coming to this particular domain, mydemosing.com, will be then routed to Route 53, and within this you would basically create a record set. So once I go into select this particular domain hosted zone, I will go to record set, and I will say, this is by default, you will see SOA and name server records for this particular domain name. Now I will have to add a address record. So I say create a record set, and then in this say I'll create a name. There is nothing here, so I say deploy, and then IPv4 is the type, and then this is not an area. So what I will do is now I will put the IP address. So I am creating a address record here, right? Type IPv4. You can also create, if I had put in front of an ELB, then I would probably select the CNAME here, canonical name, and then instead of the IP address, I will give a full qualified ELB name in here, and then create the record. Okay, that's the difference. You can also create a text pointer or a SRV or an MX record, the way you would do for any of the other DNS records. All of these are available. So in this scenario, I want just www.mydemosing.com to point to the IP address, the elastic IP address that I created, and I attached it to the EC2 server. So I said create. So you can see there is an address record that gets created. So the moment if I had logged or configured my web server to listen to port 80 on this website, then if I go and then type on my web server on my browser, then it would route me back to this IP address. So this is how you would use Route 53 to point to your web server directly or to an email. Right? So that is something that you can look at. So back to the EC2. So we have one instance running. You can do. So what I was wanted to show you was, currently this is running. So you are getting billed, right? So you want to stop this. What you would go is go to action, and then there are three different things that you would see here under action. Done. Terminate, reboot, and stop. When I say stop, the instance just stops, and then you don't get billed for the instance utilization, right? So that the next hour, the time you do a start, you will not be billed for that. However, the EBS volume, the 50 gig EBS volume that you created, would still be built because the storage has already been provisioned and it will be there waiting for you to use. So storage will be charged, but the instance cost will be stopped. Okay. So whereas terminate, if I do, then it basically removes the server from it, and then everything else associated with that particular instance locally will also be removed. Okay, so make sure that if you want to use it after some time, you don't terminate it, but you want to stop it. Reboot is basically a soft reboot of that virtual machine within that host. So essentially just the VM does a soft reboot. It is not a termination or shutdown as such. Okay. Now let's take a scenario that I want to increase the size of this to our next level, right? So I want to increase the size of this instance size from large to extra large. So what I would do is I would basically do a stop. So it says, do I want to stop this? I say yes, of course. I did a stop of this. Take a minute. So it stop. What basically we are trying to do here is when I do a stop and then I try and they say change the instance type to something else, we don't increase the size of the instance in the same hardware or anything, but what happens at the background is when I change that to a different instance type, we carry over all your configuration, your data and everything else that is there as an army, and then launch you a separate new instance in a new, probably in a different rack or different host, and then without changing anything else. So now it is stopped. I'll go to action, and then I will say change instance type here. Okay, and then it tells me currently I'm running an entity lab. So what I will do is I'll go and say I want the next.
పారేసుకోద్దామా చిన్నమ్మ ఫోన్ చేయరా
of your monthly bill. However, the SLAs for each of these changes. So depending upon the kind of workload and that you are using this for, you can sign up for whatever. Or the suggestions that I usually give is you while you are starting off with AWS and you are new to it, go with something like a business support for a couple of months, and then while you get good support and then instant response back from our support team via chat, phone, and various other means. As you get confidence, then you can basically turn off the business support, and it is a monthly commitment that you have on the support, and then later on you can come back to developer. Okay. What is your high availability plan? Do you have disaster recovery? Do you have backup? I think there is no high availability or DR data centers. Every data center is the same for us. It all depends on how you architect your workload and then how you define your disaster recovery plan. Otherwise, from our perspective, everything that we launch comes with the same kind of SLAs associated with those services. So there is no difference from our side. There is a question on how to connect through FTP. So there is from your perspective, see, EC2 is a server, right? So you connect to the EC2 server. If you want to do FTP to the EC2 server,
I would recommend you to run an FTP software on it and then enable port 21 through a security group, and then you can do an FTP to the DC. Or if your requirement is basically just to store files somewhere, right, and then give access to users, I would rather recommend you to use S3, and then there are a host of tools available for you to upload your files onto S3 from a desktop level, and then let the users access it through S3, right? So that would be the best way. Otherwise, for EC2, you have to run your own FTP server on it for your requirement. What level of security standards are used for AWS instances? Like I said, we go through various certifications and by third party and things like that. So we have a very defined security mechanism, auditing and practices in place. I would actually ask you to probably refer to our AWS security white paper that is available on our website. I think it is a 40-page document that takes you through a detailed overview of what are the things and the controls and process checks that we have on AWS, and will answer your requirements on it. The question of can we use MongoDB? Yeah, definitely you can use MongoDB. So you launch your EC2 server, install your MongoDB application on it, and then you can start using it. So EC2 server basically is just the server. You can pretty much run anything, install anything and then run on top of it, right? So we have a lot of customers running MongoDB clusters on Amazon. If you're just interested in NoSQL database, we have a NoSQL offering called DynamoDB that is very compatible, and then like MongoDB that and it's probably more cost efficient as well, and it's a managed NoSQL database offering. So there is a question on if in case of auto scaling, if I set a maximum server speed instead and my traffic increases beyond 10, then what happens? No. So will AWS add servers on its own? No, we don't add servers on our own. So in this scenario, if 10 is the maximum that you have specified, then 10 is what will get launched. So what we would recommend you to have is to keep set some CloudWatch metrics, and then keep an eye on how well your website is performing, and then get some alerts on it even beyond 10, and then you could probably come and then reset your policy on the fly to increase it to more. Right. Yeah. Does Route 53 work like a load balancer? A very good question. Route 53 can work like a load balancer because it's a DNS service. But what it can also do is you can have a scenario where your website could be deployed in different regions. Let's say you have multiple instantiations of your website deployment in multiple regions, and Route 53 can make a decision based on the request, on latency-based routing, and then route the user to the nearest deployment or nearest region as against to the only one region, right? So that way it can act as a load balancer. And it can also detect with, work with ELB and then detect an ELB or a failure on the backend web server, and then stop sending that request to that particular ELB, and you can achieve disaster recovery at the DNS layer. How do I understand where my website is configured, whether it is in S3 or EC2 or any other? I have one live website in Amazon. So
we are not we are not running a website as a managed service, right? So you are basically creating your own website. So if you are running it on EC2, yes, it will be out to EC2. Or if you have created S3, there is an option where you can create an S3 bucket and then configure that to that as a static website. That is also possible, right? So but you will have to do it yourself. So there's a question on will multi-AZ cost me anything extra? Yes, definitely, because multi-AZ means that you will have launched 2 servers. So you will be charged for that extra server that gets launched in another AZ as well. So a single AZ will definitely cost you less, whereas a multi-AZ will cost you more. So there's a question on, do you provide big data services? Yeah, like I said, yes, big data services, we have a complete offering of big data, right from ability to store, to analyze, to do reporting, to do BI. We have a host of services, including S3, Elastic MapReduce for Hadoop. We have a service called Redshift, which is for data warehouse as a service. And we have analytics that you can run using our whole ecosystem of partners like Microsoft, Tableau, Informatica, and things like that. So there's an end-to-end offering for big data. So please refer to our big data analytics solution from our website for more details. And we probably will also do WebEx like this only for our big data offering. And then probably get benefit to most of our customers. So I think we are just running out of time. So we'll see a couple of other questions and then we'll end there. Meanwhile, any of the other things, please reach out to the contacts that I shared earlier on a one-to-one basis. I'll put that out. I think for your local region. I don't think that bring that up. So these are the contacts that can be talked to. Is there storage auto tiering directing storage? Not sure exactly what you mean here, but yeah, you can implement tier-based storage for your requirement, wherein you can probably use EBS as your primary, and then when you take a snapshot, we put it on S3. So in a way, there steering has been implemented because S3 is low cost than EBS. And you can also decide if you're sharing objects from S3, you could probably use information like ILM policies to move objects from S3 to Glacier, and then you pay less for the objects on Glacier. So you can implement that kind of a policy as well. So the question on can we attach the same EBS to multiple instances? Well, no. So shared storage is not possible. That is something that we do not allow on our environment. Similarly, multicasting is not allowed on our environment. So achieving something like clustered architecture based on shared storage and multicasting will not be possible. So those technologies we do not support. However, there are proven alternate architectures that you can use to meet your requirement. So if you have any specific requirement, do get in touch with us, and then
we can work and then let you know what other activities we can use to achieve the same functionality, right? With one AMI, will I be able to host multiple VMs? Yes, AMI is just one view. You can launch an n number of instances on using that AMI. So AMI is just a freeze-dried image of your stack, right? So it is just a configuration template, and you can use that to launch many number of VMs. So I think that's pretty much it. There are some of the other questions that are very specific one-on-one, so please reach out to us on a separate thread, and then we will take it from there. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate you guys taking time to join it. Hope it was useful. And reach out to Neha and Harshad and Chandra Balani from your respective regions for more context. Right? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hah? మందిలో ఇద్దరిని ఎక్కించుకొని ఆరుగురిని ఎక్కించుకోండి లేడు నిన్న. ఏంటంటే ఫోన్ స్విచ్ ఆఫ్ చేసుకున్నాడు కదా శ్రీబాయ్. అవునా అంటున్నాడు. తర్వాత ఫోన్ స్విచ్ ఆఫ్ అని వస్తుంది చేస్తే. తర్వాత అడిగితే అవునా అంటున్నాడు. ఏమో మేము 1:25 కల్లా బయట ఉన్నాం. అయినా మనోడు ముందే ఏందో ఒక్కరోజు మరీ ముందు వస్తాడు, ఒక్కరోజు మరీ లేటుగా వస్తాడు.
The Dell PowerEdge R720 rack server sets the standard for feature flexibility in a 2-socket, 2U rack form factor. Hi, I'm Brian Payne, Executive Director for Server Product Marketing here at Dell. At Dell, we listen to our customers every day, and we've had numerous conversations about the challenges they face and how we can help them do more with their infrastructure. Today's IT organizations tell us how they are trying to support complex workloads and build efficient virtualized environments, and everyone is trying to effectively manage rapid data growth. All this puts even more pressure on organizations to increase the capability of their network infrastructure. In response, we have designed the PowerEdge R720 to offer outstanding performance and flexibility to adapt to a variety of workloads and ever-changing data center demands. The R720, powered by the latest generation of Intel Xeon processors, offers impressive performance, 80% better than the previous generation, and the flexibility to fit a wide range of IT needs and conditions. With built-in capabilities like Intel Turbo Boost 2.0 that adapts processor performance to spikes in your workload, giving you more computing power when you need it, and saving you energy when you don't. And Intel Integrated I.O. and Intel Data Direct I.O. that help you eliminate data bottlenecks and reduce latency. The R720 gives you balanced I.O. capacity with 7 expansion slots with PCIe Gen 3 support and up to 16 internal hard drives, letting you access, process, and manage huge amounts of data. And the R720 gives you a number of great options for rapidly accessing all that data. You can take advantage of the R720 split backplane option and plug in 2 separate RAID controllers to dramatically increase I.O. speed. Or you can use Dell's Cascade I.O. Accelerator feature that automatically caches the data you access most often onto solid-state drives, enabling effortless storage sharing, giving you up to 3 times higher performance for response-critical applications. And for even higher storage performance, the R720 supports up to 4 express flash drives, which have front access, hot plug functionality, so you don't have to compromise in serviceability or availability. Customers seeking a platform to host consolidated applications running IT and web infrastructure will value the R720's powerful adaptability. With its incredible memory capacity, up to 768 gigabytes, the R720 can support a large number of virtual machines, and in turn, can consolidate more applications and operations like web servers and media streaming servers by running them virtually on a single machine. This is a great way to eliminate extraneous, outdated servers and increase the overall utilization of your infrastructure, saving cost, energy consumption, and space. And the R720 can maximize your virtual machine's uptime by using redundant fail-safe hypervisors running on mirrored SD media. This is on top of its already rich set of RAS features like redundant and hot pluggable fans, disks, and power supplies. If you use the R720 for virtualization, you can also take advantage of Dell's Open Managed Systems Management, managing both physical and virtual assets. In addition to this, with Dell's unique PowerEdge Select network adapters, our industry-leading modular networking technology, you're no longer constrained to using NICs that are embedded on the system board or consuming valuable PCI slots with card-based solutions. Now on the R720, you can choose the specific network technology that's right for you and easily upgrade your network over time. This kind of extreme configuration flexibility frees you to deploy and redeploy your server in any number of ways. You can even control how you use your bandwidth on the 10 gigabit Ethernet connections with Dell's innovative switch independent partitioning feature. You can split a single 10 gigabit Ethernet port into as many as 4 logical ports with variable bandwidth allotments for maximum network utilization and versatility, allowing you to tailor your network by provisioning exactly the right amount of bandwidth your applications demand. Finally, Dell's Open Managed portfolio makes it easy to administer the lifecycle of your servers, deploying, updating, monitoring, and maintaining systems. With its embedded Dell Remote Access Controller with lifecycle controller technology, IT administrators can manage Dell servers in physical or virtual environments, locally or remotely, and with or without systems management software agents. OpenManage also integrates and connects to third-party systems management solutions, so you can maintain your same single point of control. And with Intel Node Manager functionality integrated into Open Managed Power Center, you can now control power consumption across racks, aisles, and the entire data center from a single, easy-to-use interface. If you're looking for an extremely flexible building block for your data center that delivers excellent performance with adaptable I/O and superior manageability, the PowerEdge R720 is an excellent choice.
Start.